All right, we're live. We got Johnny K. We're back. It's been like 5 months since we did a stream together,
A
so we'll see how this
little bit.
goes. But yes, yeah. Um, Man, I just got so busy between work, the tournaments, trying to get videos out every week. I could not do the live stream. Um, so looks like you went fishing today. We'll kind of BS for a little bit, give people some time to show up. But you went fishing today, right? I think you muted yourself. There
There
we
we
go.
go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Did the good old corporate mute talking on mute? I'm sure
Yes,
that never
love it.
happens in your work.
Ever, never, ever. I definitely never do it.
Yeah, but no, man. I don't know if it rained much in your area, but I woke up to thunderstorms this morning, and I felt like it rained pretty much throughout the whole day. And then at the end of the day, it stopped, and so took the opportunity to go out there for a few hours to, see if we can catch a fish or two.
Looked like Arrow caught a nice smallmouth on the chatterbait.
Dude, it's crazy, man. Like I threw in that area multiple times, and then I look back. He's like, "Fish on!" It's like that fish is jumping around like crazy. And
Huh?
he did that a few different times on me today. So they
Really?
definitely wanted that profile color.
That chatterbait is legit, man. Um, it's becoming. It's like when things get tough, they just will bite it. I don't know why, but they just will.
See, I tried to like switch it up. I actually took it out of my boat today just because I feel like everyone fishes it, and they're so used to seeing it, over the last couple of months with the fishing pressure. And so I took it out of my boat completely, and obviously that was a wrong choice because my brother was catching it today.
Man, if it just gets bit, I mean, might as well stick with it. But we'll give it a few minutes to fill out here. See if anybody wants to jump on and talk. Um, I guess I'll
You
send
see
it.
anybody on yet? I can't see it on my side.
No, I was just gonna look on this link to our group. Um, Man, I feel like I haven't fished with any of you in like years. Like
That's
every
good.
time
It's
it's gonna
helping
happen.
my big basket of the year.
That's true. Well, you think it's gonna help, but I never end up doing anything anyway. So, all right, I think we're good now. Um, well, tell me about tackle. Tell me what you've been buying up recently. What's in your tackle warehouse cart right now?
Man, you already know me, dude. I feel like I've been looking for that stuff for a while and finally made a big purchase. And so good old Tactical Bassin got me again with all their recommendations. But man,
What'd you get?
I was proud of myself because I waited a while, to look at this stuff. I just constantly look at it, put it away in the cart. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna work what I have, and I finally said, screw it.
So you're just gonna tell us you bought stuff, and then you're not gonna tell us what you bought.
No, ironically, I bought some two crankbait rods. I feel like this time of year, a lot of folks are moving up shallow, and I'm just trying to do something a little different. Just trying to catch some bigger fish, some keeper size fish. And so I want to say, I think Matt Allen. I think he likes like the G Loomis IMX rods. I want to say
Yeah.
one's like a 906 and the other one's like a 968 or something like that. But basically, it's like a 7'6" rod and a 7 foot uh, rod for crankbaiting.
Hmm.
And then I bought a Corrado 70 series size reel. I think you have. Do you have one of those?
I don't have
Or
the
I
70.
know Martin had one.
I just have
Yeah,
the 200. And
I decided to get a 70 to throw the top water there,
nice. So you've
and
been getting
then
out on the top water a little more this year.
yeah, and that's another item that I bought was a Mega Bass. Forgot what it's called, but one of their walking baits.
Okay.
And
Nice.
but yeah, it's a top water day frustrating too. I had one really good blow up today and missed it on the toad, and I probably had two or three others hit at it. So dude, I mean, I was had such a good bite there for a while. I had so many hits, dude. My chest was actually bruising for a while, man. Just because the way my rod is, it's just hard
Yep.
at the end, and just I'd give it the beans, and
No, that's good
It was
stuff,
fun there
man.
for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the toad is a ton of fun. We got Brandon on here. What's up, man? Good to hear from you. Backdraft Lures is here. We've been talking a little recently. Um, it's good to see him here. Have you been up to the that tackle shop in Hendersonville yet?
Yeah, I went early on. I think they had a soft opening a few weeks back. I think you actually went to it also. Took
I did. Yep.
your dog there. But I talked to Doug, and I think he went there during that grand opening day or a few days ago, and he said they have a pretty nice selection, and it
Yeah.
looked like a pretty good group of people that were there. So it's good to
Yeah.
see people supporting the local tackle store there. And is it Hendersonville? Is that area? Is what it's called?
I think it is Hendersonville, and yeah, me and Brandon were talking about. He said he's had some really good success selling some of his baits, so it's great to see local companies get showed off. That's one of the best parts about local stuff like that is you really get to highlight the smaller bait companies, and he said it's been actually a kind of a challenge to fill all the orders that he's had. So that's a good problem to have for a small bait company.
Yeah, man. He might have to show me his ways. I can get a part-time job working at the backdraft so I can pay for all this expensive equipment I just bought.
Yeah, no, you might as well at this point. I would not blame you. Yeah, so before we jump in fully, what's been your number one topwater lure of the year? Because I feel like last year I kind of helped you key in on the fact that topwater was a good technique, and this year you kind of jumped in on it. So what's been your number one like confidence bait as far as topwater
Dude,
goes?
I've just been throwing that little yeah, it's just like a little toad, man. I just throw it up there and then, on like 40-pound braid. And that's been working for me. I'm trying to throw a little bit more walking bait style bait. So that's why I ordered that Mega Bass. But I really like Strike Kings, I think it's Sexy Dog or something like that.
Yeah.
That bait walks real easily. And then I got some smaller Mega Bass or Japanese type lures that are top water that I've been throwing up some. And actually, I don't know if you remember, but I hooked my thumb pretty good out there when I was on Old Hickory.
Yeah.
And that was from a top water lure. So.
So no, you can't just keep saying toad with a hook. You got to tell us what toad. You got to tell us what hook. No, I'm not letting you get off easy here.
Dude, I think it's like pretty old school. I think it's called like the Ribbit or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
I actually have a black one here.
Yep.
That's kind of close by.
Yep.
But yeah, man, it's crazy how like simple this little lure is. But man, that first time I was throwing it on Priest, area and hammered.
So
Dude, I feel like it's so situational, man. It's like you got to have like a little bit of wind, but not too much wind. You got to have some rocks and got to be facing a certain way. At least that's how it was the day that I caught a bunch.
Yeah. Actually, the toad is like one of the more subtle besides like a frog. It's one of the more subtle top waters out there. It doesn't move a whole lot of water. And that's kind of a good thing. If you don't have, I think of it as like a more subtle, if you don't have wind, if you don't have that little ripple on the water, a toad is really good because it just kind of does its little thing. Whereas a buzzbait, that's been my number one this year, man. It's been so good to me all year. But you do have to I feel more confident when you have just a little bit of a shimmer or ripple on the water.
Yeah. Let's see what Brandon's saying here. Johnny, you're close to Priest, right? I've had some rooms. Another tackle store, Finn's, I believe it's called, on Bell Road. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one, Brandon. So I have to be on the lookout for that.
Where's Bell Road? Is that close to you?
Yeah, I mean, Bell Road stretches a pretty long ways, but I can get to a part of it pretty quickly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I had not heard of that either, but hey, the more the merrier. If you can get more good tackle shops, I'd love for something to be closer to me, but nobody fishes around me, so I don't think I have high hopes for that.
It's all those corporate America guys,
It's just I don't know what people do in Franklin, but they don't fish. So we've got a few people on now. I appreciate the guys that are here. If you're here watching, just drop a comment. Let us know that you're here. We would appreciate some little interaction here. I know it's been a while since we've been live, but Johnny, what did you want to talk about today?
Man, I think I've been chatting with you some. I had an opportunity to fish with Will at some of the local tournaments we have here, and I think you just recently finished a tournament series, right? Because with that one that you got in AOY, is that series over? And but you might have two more or something?
Yeah, so the regular season is over for the BFLs on the Choo Choo division. I've still got the regional left, but yeah, we are done for the year as far as regular events go.
Do you not you fish Music City, which more around like lakes around here in Nashville, and I think like Dale Hollow, and then you fish Choo Choo. I guess it's more southern lakes.
I actually did not fish Music
No,
City this year.
yeah, but you have, right?
I have, yeah, I fished Music City. I qualified for the regional out of there last year, and then just kind of was looking for a lot of different things here this year. So I've just been fishing the Choo Choo this year.
And it sounds like you pretty had a pretty good season.
Yeah, third in Angler of the Year, third overall. So had a consistent season. I cashed checks in 4 out of the 5 tournaments. So that just means you had a really really solid year. They're big events, so they paid pretty far back. Even if I think my worst finish was, well, technically my worst finish was the Super, which was 40th place. But my worst regular season finish was 28th. So you're doing good things when that's your worst finish.
Yeah. I don't know how deep you want to go in this area, but you said you cashed a few checks. Sounds like you had some decent finishes. Does that mean you made money or you just didn't lose as much money?
I just didn't lose as much. Yeah. I did a little bit of work this afternoon, just looking at kind of the overall financial picture of the whole season. And I didn't specifically split it into just one tournament series. I basically broke down my entire year worth of fishing, and it was interesting to see. I won. We'll start out with the good thing, right? We'll start off with what everybody wants to know: how much I won. So I ended up winning 1992 for the year, so just under $2,000. So a good year as far as winnings go. Like I'd take that any year, and that's between fishing one, two. It's between fishing like 15 events or so. Um, so I won just under $2,000. I spent, including entry fees, gas, baits, lodging, everything. I spent about $5,500.
Five and a
So
half thousand. Wow.
yes,
And
I
that's crazy.
finished.
That's you fishing from the back of the boat and probably budgeting where you can too, right?
Yeah. That was going to be part of the conversation. Is like, I'm a guy who, first of all, I had a really good year, and I still lost, $3,500 basically, or spent $3,500. That was my
Yeah.
my gross investment. And I'm not the best budgeting guy in the world, but this is with me basically buying whatever I needed to, whenever I wanted to. And it's really hard to narrow down, like, okay, when I make an order off Tackle Warehouse, how much of that actually goes toward tournaments? How much is that for the whole year?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of fudging the numbers. I mean, it's accounting, it's what you do, right? But overall, as far as averages go, um, I averaged about $180 of baits per tournament. So that's, between 15 events. You think about that, it's a lot of money. Lodging, my average was like $60 because I don't I don't have to pay for lodging at the vast majority of these tournaments. Either stay with a friend, stay somewhere cheap, or I just stay at home for the local stuff. And then the average on food and gas is about $90. So um, you're looking at an average about 425 with your entry fee per tournament. So that's, higher entry fees for things like a Super or Fishers of Men, lower entry fees for the Bass Nation or the BFLs. Um, and then, club events, local stuff that kind of goes out in the wash. But like Brandon said, there's no money in the BFLs. You do not do it for the money, certainly. That's not the goal when you go into the season. The goal is just to get better as an angler, to have fun, do what you love. Um, and I did all of those things. So I am proud of the season, but monetarily, it's not a good move.
Do you feel like you'll go at the same pace next year, given the
I'm
numbers?
not. I'm not sure. I've had a lot of people asking what I'm going to do next year, and I don't really know yet. I like the schedules that are all out there. I know the Alabama Bass Nation schedule is not public yet, but I did get access to it, so I know where we're going. but I like the Choo Choo schedule. I like the Toyota. I believe it's the Southern or Central Division. Um, so the goal is to do at least one Toyota Series next year, if not all of them, depending on how it goes, and then fish the Choo Choos. Other than that, I may not be fishing locally a whole much as far as tournaments go.
Yeah. Toyotas, you haven't fished any Toyotas yet, have you?
No, it's kind of the next step up from the BFLs.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's a little bit more expensive too, right?
It is, yeah. So the idea is, okay, if I spent this much on entries this year, how do I make that go further next year as far as fishing on a bigger platform, fishing at a higher level of competition? I spent about $1,500 on entries this year from the rough math that I did. So how do I make that $1,500 go last longer and be more productive for the brand and for my goals?
Yeah. I know Brandon and Chad are also on here, and they fish some local tournaments. It'd be interesting to kind of hear their thoughts in the chat.
Yeah,
What they plan on doing. I'm not sure who else is on, but I think it's
yeah.
kind of interesting to hear some different perspective on all the different tournaments we have going on. So it sounds like you got some options, which is great.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about the BFLs and just the fishing world in general right now. Tournaments are pretty open. If you can pay to fish it, you're pretty much in. The companies will certainly take your money. Just put it that way. They'll certainly take your entry fees. So unless you're talking about something like, the Tackle Warehouse Invitationals where you have to be actually invited, the options, if you can pay to fish it, and the options are open. So yeah, would love to hear
Yeah.
anybody else's thoughts in the comments for sure.
Was there any certain dates you felt like you feel like you caught them any on a certain bait in those tournaments, or just kind of based on the season, or was there any baits that you wish you had more of?
um, no, something that so I did some math on this, and I caught 57% of my fish on a crankbait, either a lipless or a lipped crankbait. I caught almost 60% of my fish on a crankbait. So, and everybody else knows that I love to throw anything cranking, anything winding. But I caught a lot on a soft plastic, caught a few on a top water. And I haven't really figured the super numbers into this quite yet, but definitely have had a lot of success in the early spring with a crankbait, whether that was a DT6 or a Booyah one knocker. I made here. I think I actually have it sitting right here, but I made like over $700 on. Let's see if I can get it out here. I made over $700 on this exact bait, and I did not even change the hooks out for the entire year. So that's not smart, but it worked.
It's crazy. I always find it pretty amazing that you can catch fish from the back of the boat on a lipped crankbait. I feel like a lipless works well, from your back of the boat, because you can adjust, your depth in the water column, right? But I feel like that crankbait is such a specific bite, and especially when you're fishing against, when you got a boater or non-boater type situation, you don't want to cast too far ahead of them. And I just feel like to me, it seems like it'd be tough to get a good angle fishing a crankbait,
It is. It's challenging, and you'll hear like I watched this guy Carter Wizhenko, I think is how you pronounce his name, but he's a really successful co-angler. He fishes a lot of Toyotas and stuff, and he throws a wacky rig everywhere, all year, all the time. He's a really good co-angler.
Really?
But, yes, but for me, I prefer power fishing, and I'm better at it. I have more confidence doing it. So, the stigma about being in the back of the boat is you've got to be finessey, you've got to throw a shaky head and a wacky rig all year. I didn't catch. I mean, I weighed probably. So I weighed 30% of my fish on a soft plastic between a tube and a worm this year. So, I fished a shaky head a lot, but other than that, man, I power fished a lot this year. And I think that sets me apart from a lot of co-anglers out there. I'm not afraid to, like this whole tournament at Gunnersville, we're setting up on Rip Rap, and you have that conversation like, hey, basically what I told my boater was like, if I do something stupid and cast too far up, or if I'm getting in your way, just let me know. But other than that, I'm going to fish. Like I'm going to be there. I'm going to fish the way I want to.
Yeah.
So I saw we got some comments. You want to respond to them?
Yeah, it looks like Brandon's gonna fish in the Music City. Is that a BFL? I guess
Yeah,
Music City. And
that's the BFL division close to here.
then it looks like we got a winter series going on.
Yep.
It didn't the guys at Hook City, man. That's the tournament I fished the last two tournaments, and I feel like there's
Yeah.
pretty good guys, and entry fees is pretty reasonable. You know.
Yeah, that's a great local Hook City. Fished a couple of them over the last few years. Really good group of guys. It's run well. Payouts are good. Good level of competition. Good camaraderie there. Definitely, if anybody who's watching is interested in Middle Tennessee kind of local area, it's a great one to jump in. But yeah, with Bible Belt, what Chad's saying, helping fishing local tournaments to help pay for other tournaments. That's a good strategy if you're cashing checks in the local ones. Doesn't always happen for me, but yeah, I guess like I was saying before we responded to those comments, I power fished a lot this year. I did the things that I wanted to do, and it really worked out. I caught fish on crankbaits, buzzbaits, caught a lot on shaky head, a speed cross, spinnerbait, a stupid tube, and then this last tournament on Gunnersville, I caught one on chatterbait. I caught one on a shallow diving crankbait, like a wake bait style, and then I caught one on a buzzbait. So it, the things that I like to do, I'm able to change it up. I was versatile this year. I did a lot of different stuff, but I power fished a lot, so that was good for the soul.
Do you feel like you're able to catch more keeper size power fishing on a crankbait than a shaky head?
Um, yes and no. It depends on where you set up on. Like I have equal confidence in each method, but like fishing riprap, I'm not going to fish a shaky head. I'm gonna be breaking off constantly, especially the stuff we were fishing last weekend. The strike zone is only a few feet right up on that rock and just off of it. So fishing a shaky head when we're constantly moving down, I'm just not going to do it. But I have equal confidence in say like a lipless and a shaky head to catch keepers.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I've taken the mindset now of like trying to use baits that I think will catch keeper size. Because I love to throw that little Kitech, right? And I can catch fish on it, and I can catch fish on a 6-inch worm, but like catching 10, 12-inch fish in a tournament like does you nothing. So
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's one of the things I've learned, like fishing with Will the last couple of days and just kind of just fishing, dude. It's so depressing, man, when you go back in and like all these people got, a full bag of keepers, and you might have a full bag of keepers too, but five, pound and a half fish is not going to do anything. So
Yeah. No, but fishing off the back of the boat, a
yeah,
limit will do you a lot of good.
yeah. I
Um,
guess in that co to co tournaments house style.
yeah.
But if you're
Yeah.
fishing in a team tournament, like in Hook City,
Definitely.
you know,
Totally
like
different strategy. Yeah. No,
yeah,
really enjoyed I really enjoyed the couple of team tournaments I did this year. Guys saying the lipless slays them. It sure does. It sure does. You better have one tied on right now. Almost anywhere in the country. But yeah, I mean, because I feel like fishing off the back of the boat in a tournament like a BFL where you're boater versus boater, co versus co, I'm not competing with the guy in the front of the boat.
yeah,
We're actually learning from each other, and you know, I'm I'm actually rooting for him. He's rooting for me most of the time. Now, does the boater sometimes get upset or jealous if you catch a keeper or a kicker or whatever? Sure, it happens, but I haven't had any bad experiences like that yet. So um, it's been really cool. This has been a really great year. And we're gonna try to continue to take advantage of it at the regional here in a few weeks.
yeah. It looks like Chad and Brandon also agree on the lipless, but you like that Booyah one knocker? I mean, I feel like there's lots of different lipless crankbaits out there, but that's your go-to.
Yeah, I don't know that there's. I mean, that Booyah one knocker specifically in Gunnersville has been really like magic for me in the last few years. I don't throw a lipless a whole lot up here. I don't fish up here a whole lot anymore, to be honest with you. Um, I don't know why that is, but you know, I like the one knocker because it's a lower frequency. I feel like it's a little bit of a different sound than like a rattle trap or something. But I will say, if the fish are on really, really, really small bait, like this time of year, a 1/4 ounce rattle trap with that higher frequency, that smaller profile is pretty money. It's pretty awesome.
Like the old school, like
Oh
rattle
yeah,
trap, right?
the Bill Lewis the Rat L trap.
Yeah. But man, see again, like what the logical me is like, man, like everybody's throwing it, man. You got to try to throw something different, Even it can be a lipless, but maybe like a different brand or a different profile, but or
Yeah,
maybe
or
whatever
maybe not.
this stuff works a long time, so it's gonna continue to work.
I mean, I like the Booyah as well. The Booyah, they've got a 1/4 ounce. Remember when we fished the Cumberland River around this time last year? You had like a tiny, like 1/8 ounce rattle trap, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really only effective for maybe the Cumberland, but hey, that's different.
Yeah.
So we got old school. Brandon saying
We
the old
haven't
school
fished a
lipless.
ton of
Yeah,
much
man.
this year.
He likes gold. Yeah,
Oh,
gold is definitely a color on Old Hickory. You see that the jackhammer came out with a few new colors for that chatterbait. They came out with
haven't
like
seen that.
let me look it up here. They came up with it's called Dirty White. Let me look it up here. What kind of chatterbait was Arrow throwing today for that big smallie?
The Strike King Thunder Cricket. So that one's a little different because it's got a
Boo.
tungsten head.
Yeah, boo. I'll just
Again, trying to do something different.
share my screen here. Yeah, so Evergreen or Tackle Warehouse, whoever, just came out with some new colors. So this blueback herring looks interesting. It's kind of got some little bit of blue, a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's still got some white on it.
Really, yeah. Obviously white on the bottom, and then if you ever seen a blueback herring, it's exactly what they look like. It's got that green shimmer on the top of them. But this color right here is what I'm interested in for Old Hickory because it's got the shad colored skirt and then it's got a gold blade. So I don't know about you, but I really like a gold blade for dirty water, whether that's spinnerbait, chatterbait, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still got that nice because there's the chartreuse white, which is a good color, but it's got a silver blade on it. So I would love if you could change out the blades on these stupid things, but that's kind of the secret to how they work. So of course they're not going to allow you to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can get Brandon to make us a custom one.
I would love that. Hey, if you could get Brandon, if you're watching or listening, what I want is chartreuse white skirt with a gold blade. That'd be like muddy water. I'm in. I'm good. But this color works really well as Beehive Delight is really good on Old Hickory for those bluegill fish with a little bit of chartreuse in it. That's a deadly little color right there. But anyways, Shutterbug. Don't pay $15 for a bladed jig. Yes, definitely. If anybody's watching in the local area, you can get your Shutterbugs from Backdraft Lure Company at Sharp Hook Bait and Tackle. So.
What else you got going on? You have you figured out plans for this weekend yet?
Yeah, so got a little Bible study gathering happening on Sunday in Birmingham. So I was just talking to one of my buddies, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go fishing on Weiss, which is part of the Coosa River." And he's like, "If you're gonna make the drive down here on Sunday, you might as well come down and fish a little bit with me." So Weiss is the top lake in the Coosa River chain, and it is probably one of the more dangerous lakes in Alabama. It's got stumps everywhere. It's like you hear about Lake Fork and all like the lanes you got to follow.
Yeah,
that's how Weiss is.
They actually have lanes though.
Yeah, no, it does. And you gotta have a good mapping. You gotta know where you're going. But we're gonna go just do some fun power fishing. It's a shallow power fishing dream, man. It's got stumps and rock and some grass, a lot of docks. So we're gonna just have some fun. Go power fish for spots in largemouth and try to practice a little bit with him. So that's the plan for the weekend.
Yeah, speaking of docks, one of the things I'm trying to shy away from on Old Hickory, and be interesting to see Chad's thoughts and Brandon's too if they get to fish Old Hickory much. But dude, I feel like I throw at and make good casts at, like, let's say 100 docks there at Old Hickory, I'll get back in there with the boat slips, get real tight against the little floater thing, the majigger. I bet you for every 100 casts, I might catch 2 fish out of those doggone things.
Yeah.
And they're not even keepers. And so I'm like, why am I keep on throwing at these things? Because for every 100 casts, like I might get tangled up in there and I got to go in there and, fish might lure out and whatnot. But I don't know, maybe it's a type of season type deal. But man, I've tried like summertime and late summer, and man, I just can't get on a good bite like that. And I don't know if you've seen people catch fish like that or not, but
Dock
it's interesting.
fishing,
They look really good, but
it can be very fickle. It's like, okay, so this is what I compare it to. When you go to Center Hill, everything looks the same until you start catching fish. Like if you go
yeah,
to Center Hill and you're flipping these bushes or you're fishing the bank, whatever it is, basically what we discovered when we fished the tournament there was those fish will get on certain banks. So whether it's how steep they are, the degree of bank or the type of rock that's on there, until you can pinpoint that, everything looks the same. You don't know where to stop. You don't know where to fish. I feel the same way about docks. I feel like you've got to find either, it's isolated docks where it's one on its own with nothing for 100 feet around it, or it's, hey, the ones with the black floats or the ones with poles or there's got to be something that sets it apart, because otherwise what you're saying is like if you just go down a line of docks and just make casts and don't observe what they're biting off of, that you're just going to drive yourself crazy. But until you can pinpoint
yeah.
which ones have something special, they all look the same. It's just like Center Hill. That's just my opinion though.
Yeah. Brandon's saying square bills and like wacky wig. I can see I used to skip a wacky wig around them, and again, I don't feel like I ever really caught anything. And the ones that I caught, it's never a keeper size. And so like now when I go to the Honeycomb, I'm like, dude, I'm not even gonna fish them, man. Like I'll fish like around them, like if there's grass there, but
Yeah.
trying to like make that perfect cast, underneath like this little slip thing, I'm like, it's just not worth it for me.
Appreciate you watching, Chad. Good luck getting up early tomorrow. Yeah, like I said, man, you got to find something, because I've caught them off docks a few times on Old Hickory,
Yeah.
but you've got to find that little difference that's making them set up in a certain way. And I'm not the best dock fisherman in the world, but they are. That's a big amount. There's a lot of structure like that on Old Hickory, so certainly would be, if you could figure that out, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think they just had some. Maybe is it the Tackle Warehouse or the BFL? I feel like they were up at the Lake of the Ozarks, and I think they're known for having a bunch of docks.
Yeah, Toyota Series was there, and they had their first day today. I think 20 pounds and like 5 ounces is leading it, and then 18 pounds is second. So whoever that dude was, I feel bad for not knowing his name. He crushed him.
He figured something out.
Yeah, no, I think what I was getting from the little social media blurbs on that lake was that you can catch 5, like you can catch a lot of fish, but getting over that 15-pound mark was difficult. So catching 20 is a good feat there, but um, hoping to, as far as we shift a little bit, maybe talk about the channel. So you just got over 1,000 subscribers a few weeks ago. How does that feel?
It feels great. I still need to get my watch hours up to start monetizing, but
Oh,
it's pretty
really?
cool how fast it grew. I didn't think I'd hit that this year. I just had a few subscribers here and there, and then next thing I know, I'm like, oh, I'm only a few subscribers away for 1,000, and then I'm actually like at 1060 now, so it's still growing. I've been trying to post YouTube Shorts more often, and I've been kind of slacking off on that, but I don't know if that had to do anything with it or not. But those YouTube Shorts are not really helping me from a watch hours perspective, but you know,
Right.
creating some engagement.
Yeah, I feel like the shorts, it's a really efficient way to grow your subscriber count. But as far as the watch hours go, yeah, you gotta be putting up videos. And I took like a month-long break from posting videos because I didn't have anything to post. I just got the dog, so I wasn't going fishing a whole lot, and my growth stalled a little bit. But we're making an effort. We're getting back into it. It's the busy season again, so
You think how's the pond bite this time of year? Or is it gonna get any better?
It'll get better more towards like November. Right now, the fish are just, it's weird. I went out last night and caught a couple, but it wasn't anything great. I caught a couple on a buzz bait and one on a chatterbait, but it's weird. Ponds, they you would think they change really quickly compared to the lakes, but the fish in there, they do the same things year after year. So if you get on them, if you can figure out where they are, you can usually repeat it the year after. It's just hard to, it can be difficult to really pin them down. So still working on it, but we got Brandon saying off topic again. Bible Bell has been gracious enough to have me on his boat for the Hook City on Saturday. First collaboration. Love to do the same for y'all. Yes. If I would stop going out of town every weekend, then we should definitely make that happen. I don't know what it is, man. Whenever I get an invitation, it's like I could go to Gunnersville and go punch up, a 5-pounder like I did a few weeks ago, or I could go fish a tournament on Old Hickory and catch 12 inchers. So it's hard for me sometimes selfishly to go do that, but we still need to do that Middle Tennessee YouTuber get together of some sort.
Yeah, man. We need to, but I need to start catching some fish, and it seems like we always got something going on the weekend where we have to cut it short, and it'll be the same way this Saturday, which is fine. I get to fish in the morning for a few hours and get to hang out with the wife afterwards. So
yeah,
works out well.
Yeah, that's good. So what else can we talk about? What else do we need to talk about?
I don't know. I was pretty proud of myself the other day catching a keeper bass off the main lake there at Old Hickory. I was so frustrated with fishing shallow, around docks and whatnot. And I was like, man, this stuff ain't working. So I decided to go out to main lake, did some scanning, and saw some stuff. Sat on the deep end through a DT16, up there on a flat, and first cast was able to catch a keeper fish. I mean, not huge, but it was like a little over, like I think 1 pound and 6 ounces, and so that was cool. I'm not used to catching fish that way. When you're out in the middle of the lake, it can be frustrating with all the different wake boats and jet skis and everything.
Yeah, that's one
coming by you.
That's one thing
I might get 2 or 3 good casts in.
Yeah, that's one thing you don't deal with quite as much on like a Gunnersville is there are definitely pleasure boaters out there, but a lot of that lake is not really friendly to them. Once you go more towards down lake, it's a lot deeper. Man, up in the river, like the channel comes up and then it's like 2 feet deep in some places. So you gotta know where you're going. But I do not miss the pleasure boat traffic. I'm looking forward to, with the fall, cooler temperatures, cooler water temperatures, get those people off the lake. Because it feels like it just gets more dangerous every year with people not knowing what they're doing and just they have the money to go grab a boat or a jet ski or whatever, and then they don't know how to act in the water. It just becomes dangerous.
Yep. Dude, when I was out fishing with Will, I mean, not even like jet skis and wake boats, they had the little rowboats. Dude, there's 2 of them. They could have literally reached out and just like touched us as they were coming by. And then after the third one, Will had to get on. I'm like, dude, what's going on, man? Like, you're the third one and about hit me.
Flip your jig in there, man.
And then he sees us casting towards the bank, right? And he comes in between us and the bank, and like we're a casting distance away from the bank. Like, dude, do you not see him? Like, just fishing right here. But I guess they just don't know any better, So it's unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. Obviously nobody owns the water, but I guess you get a lot of people out there, enjoying themselves and doing whatever. It's going to happen. But you have to have certain expectations about etiquette. Even fishermen, man, you talk about I don't know if you listen to Mercer's podcast or BTL, but been some stories lately of like people not conducting themselves on the water the way they should at the highest level, which you would think at that level, everybody knows what to do. Everybody knows what to not do, but it still happens. So
yeah, I was really disappointed in Greg Hackney. He came up on Matty Wong out in one of those northern lakes, and just like listen to video and audio, and like Matty was actually fishing this line, and then Greg comes off on pad right in front of him. It was like, this lake's too big for us to be sharing water. I'm like, bro, like you're like coming up on him, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean,
But
obviously there's two
that's
sides of every story, but just seeing
yeah.
that little clip, it's pretty disappointing.
That's unfortunate, and it probably happens to an extent more than we know, but I guess that's part of the game when you get to that level. Um, haven't really dealt with that at all this year in the BFLs. Luckily, it's been pretty drama free as far as boat stuff goes. So that's been nice, but we haven't really been fishing. I mean, on Gunnersville, when it's ledge fishing time, you definitely sometimes got to get in line and wait your turn. But we've been there when the ledge bite just hasn't really been going. So haven't had to deal with that a whole lot this year. But
Now, as we get into fall, I know we talked a little bit about baits and whatnot. Is there any new fishing gear or apparel you plan on getting as winter as it gets colder? I know you bought a new bib or something like that last year.
yeah, I got the Hydronaut bibs, the bottoms last year. I'm probably going to buy the tops this year. I mean, it's so expensive, man. I think it's like another $200 to get the top, and it was $280 for the bottoms. So it's an expensive suit, but it is the best. I can't lie. Like it is amazing. I get it, but that's probably the only major thing I'm gonna buy this year. I do have a little bit of a discount code for Columbia stuff through one of my coworkers. So if you find yourself needing any Columbia stuff, hit me up. But we got Brandon saying the fishermen shall reclaim the lake once again. Finally, yes, because we are stupid enough to be out there when it's cold. Kayakers, man, you've heard that a lot this year. I don't know if you saw a few weeks ago, there was a post talking about at night, someone like a kayak was out there in the middle of the lake with no lights or anything on. Man, that's a good way to get yourself hurt. I don't understand the desire to put yourself in that situation. But it happens. What about you? Any cool gear coming your way?
No, just those new rods and reels. I'm kind of wanting to get some more ACO type shirts and whatnot, but
yeah,
holding off since I've been spending so much money elsewhere.
Yep.
I do want to get some new graphs, but man, that's just a big old chunk of change, to get switched to like Lowrance or something like that. And so it's like it's crazy spend all this money to catch these fish that I'll let go, not only in fishing tournaments, just purely for fun.
So going back to what we started the conversation on, the money thing, as someone who you don't fish as many tournaments, but I feel like you've been doing it a little bit more this year. When you hear that I lost $3,500 over the year, is that shocking to you, or is that about what you thought it would be?
I don't know. I don't think I really had a number in mind. I think in my initial gut, it's like, oh, you're winning tournament and you're cashing checks, so it just seems like you would be making some money. But hey, like I said, if that's what you love doing, you get the chance to fish some different lakes with some different people, and some of those things, and so
it's a good reality check. You gotta be looking forward to next year, saying, okay, what the heck do I have to prepare for? And I had some videos that did really well this year. I think all of my tournament videos except 2 have over 1,000 views. So that's solid numbers for some fisheries that people are really interested in, like Gunnersville, and some fisheries that people don't care about, like lay. My Lay Lake video, one of my Pickwick videos didn't do very good, but it's been interesting trying to create interest and the better year that I've had. It feels like the better success that I've had on the channel. So it's been good to see that growth.
Yeah, I know for me, like on a boater side, I'd imagine that costs would be a little bit more, but it'd be interesting to see, like, hey, if I spent, $7,000-8,000 fishing tournaments next year, like, what does that do to my YouTube channel from a growth perspective? If I can, make half that, in YouTube, then I don't know, maybe it'd be worth it.
If you can make half that and you can cash a few checks, man, that's about as good as it gets for like a hobby, so I don't know. That's part of the question for me next year as well, is like, okay, do I need to be fishing more Toyotas because it's going to create more interest, or I'm not only doing this for YouTube. I'm doing this partially because I love it and because it's something I enjoy doing. So we'll see. We'll see where I land. But for now, definitely fishing Choo Choo, probably Alabama Bass Nation, and probably some Toyotas.
Nice. I tell you what's one of the things that is pretty cool about fishing tournaments is just that when you call kind of all hang out there right before like blast off, it's just really cool with the sun setting. Everybody has their lights on, and then the first time I did it with Will, we did caught them out by numbers, and it was just cool to be with Will and like hop up on pad and like be the first one out. And then when we did it at Old Hickory, we did a shotgun, and that was just wild, dude. Like all these boats just up on pad, and you're like,
Yeah.
God, I hope he's not coming my way. So
Yeah. It's one of my, like, when I go to sit down and edit the videos, that's one of my favorite parts is the blast off, because you can really like fire people up for the video. You can really put some, get some good music going and get some good cinematic shots of that opening run is always a good way to start the day. And like Brandon's saying, the experience to speak, so to speak, just hang out, fish, cook good food, drink beer, and just go out there and fish. Yeah. I love it too. I do love every part of it. The fellowship is awesome. The experience is awesome. I also like doing well, surprisingly. I'm very competitive, and that's why I was upset on Saturday. It's like I was upset I wasn't fishing day 2 and that I didn't do better. When objectively, if you look at it, I stayed in third place. I got a 40th place, 48th out of 149. That's top, what, 30%. So it wasn't a bad day, but I sometimes tend to lean towards the competitive side, which is not a bad thing. It's just part of fishing. But
no, I feel you on that competitive side. That first tournament I fished with Will and Priest, man, it's like that's one of the things I don't like about fishing tournaments. Like I said, you go in there, you don't catch anything. You see everyone else caught stuff. And it's like, man, you've been out there grinding and you're disappointed in yourself. And I feel like that puts me in a bad mood. And then it's like 2 or 3 o'clock, then I got to hang out with the wife, and it's unfair to her, when I'm in a bad mood. So it's
yeah,
like, try not
well,
to let that affect me.
you gotta have you gotta determine what success is for you. You gotta have small wins. Whether that's if you have a good mental day of fishing, like you feel like you made all the right casts, and the fish just weren't there, they weren't biting, whatever. If you can have small wins, like I stayed organized, we had a great day, you can still win. But man, think about it, like KVD, the GOAT, the best ever to do it as of now in the world. I think he won how many tournaments he competed in, he won like under 10% of them. So you're only
Yeah.
going to win if you're the best in the world. You're going to win 10% of the time, maybe.
Yeah. 1 out of 10 times.
Right. If that, it's probably like 8 or 7. It's for, who knows what the actual math is. But if he did 400 tournaments and he won like 10 of them, that's not even 10%. So you got to have little wins. If you're going to focus on tournament stuff, you got to have little wins. And for me, a lot of that is, did I leave the day in a good mood, whether I caught them or not? Did we have a fun time on the boat? Were we laughing and having a good time? Did we get along good? Would the guy want to fish with me again? That's part of it. Did I stay organized? Was it a good like mental focus day? Did I make the right decisions as far as like getting bit? Even if they weren't keepers, did I get bit? Did I put everything in the boat? You can have a lot of little wins, and they're really important for not hating your life when you get in the truck afterwards and you got to head home. And that's just
That's a good way to think about
when
it.
I've got when you've got a 3-hour drive
it.
home, believe me, I don't want to be hating my life the whole time. Like I'll give it, I'll definitely think about it for a while, but like I can't be mad forever,
Yeah.
So hey, I see a couple people watching who've just jumped in recently. If you're in here watching, just hit us up with a chat. Let us know you're in here watching so we can acknowledge you. And if there's anything else you want us to talk about, we've only got about 10 minutes left or so, but we'll stick around. And we got Brandon saying, see, it doesn't upset me to have a bad day. I feel lucky just to be able to go out and do that, what we do. Yeah. I try to think about that. I'm not the best at thinking about that and remembering that, but man, a lot of people sitting on the bank or whatever, they'd give a lot to be able to go out there on a boat, not let alone fish a tournament. It would be a huge difference for them to be able to get out there on a boat. So it's good to remember that when we can. Sometimes it's hard when you feel like you're depressed because you're not getting bites, but a lot of guys would definitely they would rather be on the boat sucking in a tournament than fishing by themselves on the bank. So it's a good thing to remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Now that I fished two from the back of the boat, maybe I'll work up some courage to fish from my boat. That, like I said, the whole thing of just backing in and just being around the little dock area, kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety. But after doing it with Will in these last two tournaments, it didn't seem like it was too bad.
It's definitely the most stressful part of the day for me too. Just putting the boat in the morning and then parking and all that stuff. It gets less stressful as you do it more, but it is always stressful. And that's as someone who literally got his boater's truck stuck this year. So I definitely made a mistake there this year, but it gets better. It's always a little bit stressful, but it does get better.
Yeah, like how big Will's truck is, and one of those parking spots at Shoots was like, super tiny. I'm like coming through that, I'm like, God, please just don't like rip off his fenders or hit anybody else's boat, So
I remember it was the second Percy Priest tournament, the BFL last year. There's a couple spots at Fate that are like right next to the ramp. So there's a row of cars waiting to put in, and then there's there's the parking spaces right next to it. And nobody was taking this one spot because it's like impossible to get in there. But I'm driving by and I'm like, man, if I can make it, that'd be like perfect spot right there. So I'm like, screw it. What's the worst that can happen? I'll just be careful and watch my mirrors. So man, I'm pulling in. I think I probably had like that much space between the other trailer. But man, I made it, and I was like, "Whoa, we're good. We got one of the best spots in the lot." So it is definitely stressful, though. I get what you're saying.
And then there's me, like I'm pretty fortunate to have the boat that I have, and then you're out in those tournaments, you see all these nice Phoenixes and Skeeters and the Mercury's 250s. Like, God, that'd be awesome to have.
Oh yeah, no, it's kind of cool as someone who plans to buy a boat in the future because I get to experience a whole different, I get to experience a bunch of different boats and kind of see how they perform on the water. Like, man, this Triton that my boater had this past weekend, Kyle, his Triton, it was like a 2017 Triton, but man, one of the best rides I've felt in a long time. Like, especially when the water got rough, man, I was really impressed with it. So nothing against the other brands, but man, that Triton was pretty legit. No more.
One of the things I wish they would work on, and maybe they have this on newer boats, but I feel like the newer boats have like a good like day box. I love to be able to just like sit on the deck and there's this little box that you can open up that to be able to work on the stuff or use it easily, get to the stuff that you use all the time. That's one of the things I don't have on mine that I miss.
Yeah, no, I've seen I think some of the newer nitros have that. Like I know Josh, I think Josh Bertrand has a nitro. He loves that there's like these little two compartments right up front next to where your feet are. But I mean, as a guy who's not going to be buying a boat for a while, I am just letting it develop more and more. Make the boats better and better, so that by the time I'm ready to buy one, they're just they're at their peak, hopefully.
Dude, I feel like you've got some good ones in your little aluminum boat that you keep down there in Alabama. The tiller head, right?
I mean, that's the other challenge of it is like I've put as many good fish in that boat as I have any fiberglass in the world, because it's just so easy to take it out and get up into places that fiberglass can't go. But that being said, if I want to go compete, that little boat's not going to do it. So as far as fishing goes, it's great, but competing, you're gonna need something like you've got or something even fancier.
I need to see where Keith Boucher did in Bass this year. I know he had some drama early on, but he fishes from an aluminum boat.
Yeah, everybody loves to watch that stuff, but to actually go do it is a lot of work, and you got to be willing to be uncomfortable. Like putting your boat in situations that you don't really want to selfishly, but that are going to be good for your success. But me, like I'm always a guy who's like, yeah, let's just run up in that little up in the little cut, or run up river, or go
Yeah.
go in the current. That's like my number one thing. So I definitely loved watching him win on Cherokee and that up in the river like that. That was really cool.
Dude, that's one thing I plan on doing next year. You know, I tried to fish some TVA lakes over the last 2 years. Time to hit the Coosa chains next year, man.
Yeah, we tried to make it happen this year, and I could never commit. So we will have to do it this year because it is. You know how I feel about it. I mean, every time I go down there, it's an awesome experience. So um, we'll do it sometime this year for sure.
I listened to an interesting podcast the other day about spotted bass and how they're starting to take over some of the lakes. And even though they're fun to catch, I don't think it can be the greatest for fishery sometimes, right? Especially if they have like smallmouth.
Yeah, because what ends up happening is they can't grow or they don't grow very big or very fast, and they spawn like crazy, and then they start hybridizing with the smallmouth, and then your smallmouth population, your pure smallmouth healthy population goes down, and your little tiny 10-inch spots like we've got all over the Cumberland River, they just increase by tenfold. So I haven't really seen that happening on any of the TVA fisheries. And then the Coosa is a different strain of spotted bass. So that's hopefully they just maintain their health down there. But it is like Center Hill. I know that's one that people are really concerned with. It's going downhill because of that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, with those spotted bass, you feel like spotted bass sometimes can be a little bit easier to catch, or like they can be anywhere, right? I feel like like largemouth and smallmouth can kind of be somewhat predictable. Like I feel like largemouth or
I
kind of,
mean, the spotted bass that we have here, they're a little more more like traditional spotted bass in the sense that they like rocky points, they like current, they like more deeper, clear water. Whereas like Coosa spots, you'll catch them on a swim jig in a foot of water in grass, like they're a largemouth. It's the
uh-huh.
craziest thing. Or like on a buzzbait in a foot of water on a grass flat or something. So the spotted bass down there, man, they're just a different animal entirely. I mean, I had one the last time I was down there. We were fishing this creek that was super super low. I caught 2 4-pound largemouth out of there, and I had like a 3-pound spot living amongst them up in a foot of water, who ate my buzzbait and then got off. But they're just crazy. That's just the name of the game with them. They're crazy.
That's why I want to
Wish
get
we had
down there
them.
and catch them.
Wish we had them up here, but the smallmouth are a good kind of trade off for them, so I'll take it. But we are looking at wrapping up here in the next few minutes. If you have any other questions for us or comments, concerns, if you hated this, let us know. It's kind of last minute, just sort of shooting the crap here, but we'll give everyone a few minutes if they need anything else. They want us to talk about anything else. But Johnny, this was cool. I know it's been a while since we went on the boat together. Been a while since we actually talked, but
Yeah, man. No, it's interesting to hear. Appreciate you sharing the info on your fishing tournament season. You said that was for around 15 tournaments.
yeah, give or take. I mean, I didn't count every single event, like every single Hook City where I spend $20 and didn't catch a check. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But that was my major. That was the major tournaments, and then we've got the regional coming up in a few weeks on Eufaula. The video for the Gunnersville Super video will be up maybe tomorrow. I'm trying to figure out if I want to release it tomorrow or this weekend. We will see, but it'll be out soon, and I think it's going to be a good one. There's a lot of good fish catches, so that should be a fun one to watch.
My vote is tomorrow, man. I to get people fired up for fishing over the weekend, and then weekend comes, they'll either be fishing or watching football. So.
All right. Well, I will put it out tomorrow. You heard it here first on the Cast and Loose Live. That video is coming out tomorrow. So until then, we will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching.